Today's video shoutout goes to the virtual celebrity. Someone commented in my last video, you need to check out the virtual celebrity. She deserves a shoutout. And after seeing her videos, I agree. Guys, the amount of effort, love, and care she puts into her videos is unfathomed. Her quality, her production value is so good. I feel like a chump looking at her videos. And she only has like 2,000 subscribers. Guys, push her to go further beyond. Please check out her content. She makes Steven Universe videos. She deserves a bigger number. She deserves a bigger following. Let's do some justice and please check her out. You go, girl. I'm gonna put up a Steven Universe video in the description at the end of this video that I think you guys would enjoy by her. So you guys can go check it out and decide for yourself if she's worth the subscription. But if you ask me, she's definitely worth the red subscribe button. Also, the Roundtable now has a Facebook. I'm going to put the link to that in the description. It's just called the Roundtable. Go drop a like. And without further ado, let's get on with the video. Welcome back to Crystal Clear. I'm your host, Vox. So I meant to make this video days and days ago, but you know what? I'm just going to blame Yumicon and the Infinity Train hype on why I didn't make this sooner. Anyways, we are now 1 week away from the premiere of Gem Harvest, the half-hour fall Steven Universe special, where Steven's autumn visit to the barn brings a new stranger into his life. And based on that alone, we can make some predictions, hence, this is being a prediction video. What I think might happen in Gem Harvest. Now, first things first, a lot of people are like, oh, this is just gonna be a farming filler. And then we found out it was a half-hour special, and a lot of people, some people still think it's gonna be like a filler, but like, come on, dude. Half-hour special, it's not gonna be a filler. And from the press image, we see that all the gems are going to be in this episode, and that is exciting. I love when all the gems are together. Which leads me to my first prediction, and something I really, really hope to see. And that is, for the love of God, please have Lapis actually talk and interact with the other gems, because that's something we basically have not seen on screen yet. Mirror and Ocean Gem, she was fighting them. The message, it was a warning to mainly Steven, but also the gems. The Return and Jailbreak, she didn't talk to them. She was just there, she was just prisoner. And even in episodes like Hit the Diamond, or Back to the Moon, she barely even talked to the gems. And it's understandable because Lapis doesn't really trust the gems, but I feel like it's about time she finally interacts with them. I mean, if Peridot can have a good relationship with the Crystal Gems, so can Lapis. And I would love to see Lapis interacting with Amethyst, Garnet, and Pearl. You think Garnet and Lapis would actually talk a lot, considering Blue Diamond had Sapphire on her court. They're both gems from Blue Diamond's court. And I feel like that alone should kind of establish a connection between them. I'm not saying they should be buddy-buddy, but that opens a topic of discussion. That opens something that they both can relate to. And down the line, I would love to see a Sapphire and Lapis fusion. The chances are probably extremely slim, but that would just be amazing to see. Sapphire has ice, Lapis has water, combine it, you're gonna get an Ice Queen. But beyond that, what new character are we gonna see in this episode? Is it gonna be a fusion or is it gonna be a new gem? Or is Steven gonna uncorrupt a gem? Alright, stick with me here. While I believe the first gem Steven should ever uncorrupt is Centipedal, because he has a bond with Centipedal, and she is by far the corrupted gem we have seen the most throughout the series. Let's rewind from the New York Comic Con clip a bit, which is the beginning of the episode. Peridot and Lapis want a family. Okay, maybe that's not the appropriate word to use, but they are lonely at the barn, and yeah, now they have the pumpkin dog. I keep forgetting what the fandom's calling it, but is that dog enough for Peridot and Lapis to keep them company? I mean, it can't even communicate outside of dog noises and barks. Although that'd be pretty dope if it could talk. Anyways, what if the new stranger Steven meets into his life is the uncorrupted speedrunner gem? Roadrunner, Sonic, whatever you want to call her. While this could be highly unlikely, since Steven needs an emotional attachment to a gem, and while he empathized with Roadrunner, it was on the level of Senti or even Jasper. I believe that in order to corrupt a gem, Steven's gonna have to have some kind of understanding with that gem. He'll have to really care for them. And it will require the use of not only his healing spit, but mainly his dream powers, because corruption really seems to reflect on the mental state of a gem. Hence why the more distraught Jasper got, the faster her corruption got. However, I'm not going to rule out the possibility of Little Miss Tasmanian Devil getting uncorrupted. In my opinion, it's entirely possible. that she become uncorrupted and stay at the barn. It'd be strange the fact that we had the kindergarten kid, and now here we are at Gem Harvest. Like what, 8, 9, 10 episodes later? And we have Peridot and Lapis talking about how much they miss homeworld and the sound of gem footsteps, the pitter patter, and overall just how great of a technician Peridot is without that going anywhere in the actual episode. I find it interesting that Peridot has not questioned corruption. And if Jasper didn't know how the gems become corrupted, then certainly Peridot wouldn't know. When Jasper became corrupted, or even when she captured Roadrunner, Peridot didn't wonder, wow, how did those gems become like that? How did Jasper exactly become like that from fusing with that thing? Peridot knowing a lot about gems and how they work may have a key role in curing corruption. I've stated before, it'd be really cool if Peridot and Steven's fusion had a doctor persona. And that's not me saying their fusion would appear in this episode, although that would be nice. I imagine between Steven and Peridot, a fusion between them would make curing corruption a lot easier. But since the synopsis says that Steven meets a new stranger because of the visit to the barn, I don't think he would fuse with Peridot, at least not anymore, because he wouldn't be meeting that stranger, he would be becoming that stranger. But the synopsis could just be pulling our leg here, and it still is a possibility. So if Speedy Gonzalez got uncorrupted, it would bring full circle Peridot and Lapis wanting someone else to be at the barn with them, staying at the barn with them, having a new friend, and introducing a new gem into the fold. I just find it weird they're lamenting over no gems at the barn with them when there is one literally bubbled in the barn, albeit corrupted. And what better way to move the plot along in this half-hour special than a cure to corruption? Another possibility for the stranger that is introduced into Steven's life is a gem from Homeworld. And it could explain why the other gems arrive at the barn. Because in both Barnmates and Back to the Moon assumably, Garnet, Amethyst, and Pearl came because they saw the ship. Although I wouldn't doubt Garnet's future vision also played a role in that. And since there's a warp pad right by the barn, it doesn't take them long to get there. And it's not like the gems have any phones, only Steven does, so it's not like you can just call them up. They had to be brought there for a reason, unless Steven went all the way to the temple, got them and came back, or they are brought to the barn because they see something going towards the barn. That something could be a new gem from Homeworld. But in this picture, where are all the gems looking at? If we go by that scenario of there's a gem from Homeworld coming down to the barn, why would Garnet and Lapis be smiling? Well, what if this gem from Homeworld isn't actually a threat, but a double agent? That's right, I don't believe for a second that you can have a rebellion and a war without some spies. And how rad would it be if we had a new gem arrive on Earth, coming to the barn, and everyone's intimidated until it turns out it's a double spy from Homeworld. That during the rebellion, Rose had some people on the inside who masqueraded and pretend to fight for Homeworld when really they were fighting for Rose the entire time, gaining intelligence. And the reason why that gem came to Earth is because, you know, Yellow Diamond hears about the rubies are missing, Jasper's missing, the cluster still isn't formed, and the Earth is still there. So then that gem volunteers to go to Earth, or something along the lines of that, because they want to help out the crystal gems even further, inform them a little bit more about Homeworld. This is a huge stretch, but I think that'd just be something really kick-ass and amazing to see. I love bad guys who are actually good guys, you know, working for the inside storylines. I just love them. I eat them up. And Lapis could be smiling because maybe that's a gem that who was in her court back in the day. But this is all conjecture, and there probably isn't even a gem from Homeworld that they're looking at. It's probably Steven. I already made a prediction theory video about who might fuse in Gem Harvest, but that was before I got the synopsis. Now that we know the synopsis is a new stranger comes into Steven's life. You know that I thought a lot over more, I don't think that maybe Steven and Peridot would fuse in this episode. Probably not, just because, you know, Steven meeting a stranger comes into his life. But then again, that's not really specific either. I don't care how I pronounce the word. So it really is just a case of who knows. Who knows what they mean by stranger. So yeah, other guesses besides that in terms of stranger is just a fusion. Guesses would be Lapis and Peridot, Peridot and Amethyst, Peridot and Garnet, like a Peridot fusion basically. However, that synopsis for a half-hour episode, I mean, fusions are usually only like 1 or 2 scenes. And while I do think we might get fusion in that episode, I'm not exactly sure that's the stranger they're referring to, just because the entire synopsis based off of one scene. Like, the synopsis for Bismuth was that Steven finds a gem everyone thought was lost to time, and that was Bismuth, and Bismuth was there throughout the entire episode. Are we going to get a fusion throughout the entire episode, one that lasts for the entire episode, not just a scene or two? It sounds amazing, but we'll just have to see. I believe we won't get any more, pumpkin armies or anything. I think we're just going to get just that dog, unless Peridot and Lapis are like, no, Steven, we want more. But unless they're going crazy and demanding for more, I think that's going to be the only pumpkin vegetable we see come to life in that episode. But since this is a half-hour episode, we need some conflict. So I do think there's going to be, maybe an action sequence in the episode. Maybe a homeworld threat does come. Maybe the rubies return. I do think we're going to learn about gem harvesting, that we've been teased with since Catch and Release back in Season 2. And this episode is called Gem Harvest. So maybe we will learn what gem harvesting exactly is. I do believe it's like how Lapis was in the mirror, harvesting gems to make, weapons and tools. It's about time we get some answers with that. And as I mentioned in my gem harvest press image video, I believe they are looking at Steven, and I do think it's time we finally have an aged up Steven that we've teased with in Too Many Birthdays and Steven's birthday. Don't make like a drastic change, have him look relatively the same, but, finally have that voice get deeper, because Zach Callison, the older he gets, the higher pitched Steven's voice is going to get, because he's trying to keep Steven sounding young, but let's just age him up, make it easier on Zach Callison, and we've been on this journey for 3 years now, age Steven up. I believe it's time. He's 14, he looks like he's 9. A 9-year-old should not be going up against the Diamond Authority. Please. So yeah, that's all I can really think of. And I really want to hear your thoughts. I'm really excited for this episode. I can't believe it's only a week away. And oh my god, guys, I'm gonna make a separate video about this, talking about it a little bit more. But the leaks for this episode will begin, if not tomorrow night, then Saturday. We're gonna have leaks for this episode. So please, if you don't want to get spoiled, be on your fucking toes, because I have a feeling the leaks for this episode might be major. Just might. The leaks for Bismuth was relatively tame, and we only got them for the first half of the episode, so maybe it won't be super major if this follows the same suit and we'll only get images for the first half of the episode. And the images that leaked for Bismuth were relatively small, didn't really give away too much of the plot, if any, besides, the fact that it's Bismuth. But it's gonna be a gamble here. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, it really helps me out. Follow me on Twitter at @OutStrickVox, follow the Roundtable at RoundtableVids. Anyone else associated with the Roundtable, you can find the Twitters in the description. Like our Facebook page, links in the description. We have a Patreon, the works. Everything is in the description. The artist for my art, Glassman, everything in the description. OutStrickVox, signing out.